My lips feel very dry, so let me um hold on. I'll be right back, y'all. I'm gonna get some chapstick for my lips because they feel dry. 1 second, y'all. I will be right back. Get some chapstick. All right, y'all, I'm back. Hi, everyone. On this snowed in day, if you're on the East Coast, we are snowed in. But I'm being guided to come live and talk about some things. Okay. Um, Specifically a dream that I had. If you guys don't know by now, a lot of times I will use my channel to well, one of the ways that I record my dreams, aka recordings, is I, record it on video, write it down. But this particular live, I wanted to talk about something quite interesting. I have not titled it because if you see the live, you see it. If you don't, you don't. And if it's meant for you to hear this, maybe you'll get something from it. Maybe this will resonate with you. But yeah. So I had a dream about hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, y'all. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, you guys. I'm back. All right. So there was something that I was reading that triggered a dream that I had. So I wanted to come on and talk to you guys about it. Um, I had a dream, and this was, I want to say, I was probably, my gosh, I was probably like 18, like 17, 18, in this particular recording. And so I'll talk about two dreams. The first one was when I was taken into in between Earth, is what I will call it. Okay. And keep in mind that everything that I'm saying is from my own personal accounts. I I'm very sane, of sane, I'm sane. I'm not diagnosed with anything, no mental illness, none of that. I'm just a regular person, regular mom. You know what I'm saying? I'm snowed in, but I was guided. And a lot of times, if I'm spiritually led to talk about something publicly, it's for a reason. Even if I don't know exactly what that reason is, there's a reason why I'm being guided to talk about certain things publicly. So if you are not into things like that, or if this may trigger you in a negative way, that is not my intention. My intention is really to just share, and hopefully this will help someone, or maybe just bring some type of enlightenment to someone. Okay. And if that isn't you, then that's fine. But if that is you, thank you so much for watching. So two dreams. One of the first dreams I had, I was taking inside of the water. So in the water, there's like a space in between the water, and this is what I'm seeing in my dream. I was taken there by a being, a half water, half man being. Took me into this space in the inner earth. I was probably about 17, 18. I was pretty young. Um, and when I was taken into this inner earth, and I call it inner earth, but it's really inner water. So, and when I looked up top, there was water above me, there was water below me. But where I was taken to was right in between that space. So like water above, and then there's like dry space, and then there was water below. In that dry space, that's where I was taken to. And I was taken there because I feel like whatever this being was wanted to show me things that are in earth or on earth or in the inner earth that people don't know about. And what I saw there was quite interesting. I saw some shark head beings, so like half shark, half human. I saw some hammerhead beings, so like the hammerhead fish, right? That looks like a hammer, like it has like two little. It looks like a hammer. It's called a hammerhead fish, I believe. Um, I saw that being there, but it was half hammerhead, half human. And I remember asking, like, why am I here? Why am I being shown this? And I remember the being say, because we want you to know. We want you to know that we exist. Okay. Mind you, this was not a projection from a movie that I had watched. I had never seen any movies like this, but I have seen, I've been to aquariums and things like that as a child on class trips and things like that. So at 17, my brain was just like, okay, I just brushed it off as it was nothing. But I wanted to say that these places are real. They are different levels of, okay, so we're not going to curse in this channel. So if this offends you, you can go ahead and leave, but we're not going to curse and we're not going to, get my live demonetized. So if you have something to say, feel free to say it. But if you're cursing, I'm going to have to remove the comment, even though I don't want to do that because I don't want to police anyone from commenting, but please keep it respectful. Okay, don't curse. Like, if you feel like you have to curse, if your vocabulary is that limited that you can't use a regular word, just misspell the curse word, okay? Because I want this live to stay up and I want it to be monetized, okay? If I'm going to give my energy, I need to be paid for that. So what I was saying is the reason why I mentioned that dream is because these places are real places. And when I say real, I don't mean real like how I'm able to touch this phone. It's tangible. We know it's here. There are places outside of Earth that really do exist in other planes of existence. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you are crazy, but it does mean that you have activated a part of your brain. Sometimes that activation can come through trauma or extreme levels of happiness or extreme levels of sadness, okay? Or trauma. Your brain, there's parts of your brain that will activate, whether you're awake or in your dream state, to allow you to see safely and tap into these realms without losing your mind, okay? So a lot of times people that are diagnosed, and remember everything that I'm saying is, I'm not a doctor. I do have degrees, but I don't have a doctoral degree. So do not take anything as I say as like, some type of medical advice. But what I have seen from my studies is that a lot of times when people are diagnosed schizophrenic or bipolar, they are able to see in other realms. This can also be induced from drug use. So like crack, cocaine, um, meth, those certain things can allow you to tap into the other realm. Obviously, I'm not saying for anyone to do this. Please do not do this. But what I'm saying is those people that are like hooked on drugs or they are labeled schizophrenic, bipolar, things like that, specifically schizophrenia, I'll stick to that. They, I don't want to say that what they're seeing isn't real, but they are not able to compartmentalize. So they take on what they see from the other realm into their regular 3D life, where they can't compartmentalize it. Where it's like, okay, I see this thing. All right, let's keep it in that box. Let's continue moving on with our lives, right? So a lot of the times people that are diagnosed schizophrenic is because they don't know how to evenly balance what they are seeing versus reality. There's like a blurred line. But there are some of us where the lines aren't blurred. We understand, like, okay, what I'm witnessing, like part of my dream where I was taken into the, in between the water. I understand that that was a dream. I understand that that is not part of my 3D reality. But I cannot discount that it exists because I was shown that in the dream state. Okay? So there's that. Second thing I wanted to talk about, and what I'm saying is purely spiritual from my intuition, but I do like to vet things out because I want it to make sense from a practical point of view. I'm a Taurus. We deal with like earth realm stuff, so I'm very practical. Okay, so if I'm not able to apply it to my everyday life, for me, it's like, I kind of just discount it. Okay, so next thing I wanted to say is this: there's a lot of lies that have been told, as we know this, right? Anyone that is aware and conscious and just has a, you just have your intuition, okay? you know that everything that you were shown and everything that you were told isn't real. It is up to you as an adult to vet things out, right? Right. You know how, like, in most religions, almost every religion, well, I'll stick with Catholicism and Christianity. And this is not a jab to anyone that is Catholic or Christian, okay? I was raised in a Catholic household. I no longer practice that, right? Or any of those beliefs, but I was raised in that household. So I have some, and I went to Catholic school up until I was 14. So from like kindergarten to 13 years old, I was in Catholic school, okay? So I have an understanding of, Jesus, Mary, yada, 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 Joseph, and all that. Confirmation, communion, all that. All those little rituals that we do, okay? Um, and you know how, like, specifically in Christianity and Catholicism, they talk about how the angels come from heaven, right? That is what you are taught. You were taught that angels come from above, and anything that is below, right? So like heaven is here, hell is down here. Under, I guess down there would be like under earth, and heaven is where the angels stay. What if I told you that it is in the reverse? What if I told you that the angels, and I'm saying, when I say angels, I mean angels of light, okay? So like Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, right? Angels of light. What if I said that those angels come from below, and the ones that come from heaven are the dark ones, the evil ones, one would say? What if I told you that? Now, there are movies, a lot of times, and I always reference a movie or a book to explain what I'm saying so that it's tangible for the audience, okay? And I'm not saying this for anyone to agree with me. Please disagree with me. If you have another notion, disagree. This is not for me to gather anyone up to validate what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying, but I just feel guided to share this publicly. So, what if I said that angels come from below? Angels of light come from below, and the angels that are coming from the so-called heavens, that really doesn't exist, but the angels that are coming from so-called heaven are angels of darkness. There is a movie that kind of backs up what I'm saying. If you know of the movie, if you've ever watched the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves, they use Keanu Reeves a lot in a lot of their whistleblowing type of movies, okay? When you watch the movie Constantine, do you remember towards like the middle to the end of the film where Constantine, which is played by Keanu Reeves, where his character is faced with the devil, right? And he's about to die, and he's quote unquote gonna go into heaven. Do you remember where Satan came from in that movie? For any of you that are in this live right now, if you've seen Constantine, where did they show you in that movie? Where did Satan and the devil come from? In that movie, where did they come from? Does anyone know? In the movie Constantine, where did the writers and the producers depict Satan to come from? The Millennium Gemini 87. If I had a gift or something, I would send it to you from above. Okay? Why do you think, and you don't need to answer this question, but this is just to leave you with a thought. Why didn't they make the devil come from, why didn't they open up the earth like how they did in Armageddon with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why didn't they make the devil open up the earth and come from below? Not only did they have the devil in Constantine dressed in all white, which is supposed to be pure, right? But his feet were like of tar. It was like black bile coming from the feet. That's how you knew it was a satanic energy. It was demonic, right? But they had him come from the heavens, come from above, not from below. And not only that, they had him to wear white, all white. Okay? So that is one of the movies that is backing up what I'm saying, is that what if I told you that angels of light, celestial angels, do not come from above? They come from under the earth, beneath the earth. Okay. Now, I'm also going to reference a dream that I had personally, okay? Because I'm the type of person, I'm a Taurus. So we're very practical. And even though I'm, very spiritual, very in tune, this is something that I did not ask for. I've been, I've seen things. I'm able to tap into other realms since I was a little girl, you guys, okay? So, and I remember, growing up and wishing that I did not have these gifts because I didn't understand them. I was naive. I didn't understand them. I don't want to say I was afraid of myself, but I was just like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. And obviously, as I've grown older, I'm in my, my late 30s now. I've learned to understand that one, I wasn't going crazy, and that a lot of things that I was seeing was really a gift. It was a gift from my ancestors, from the creator of all. Okay. So I've learned to embrace it, incorporate it into my everyday life without going crazy. Because a lot of times when you see things at a very young age, it could cause, split personality disorder. It could cause schizophrenia and all kinds of other things if you're not able to self regulate. So, another dream that I had that references the notion that I said about angels of light really coming from beneath, and angels of darkness coming from above. I had a recording, and I call my dreams recordings. So if I say recordings, dreams, it's the same thing. But I'll say dreams for the sake of, because I don't want to confuse you guys. I had a dream about, I want to say this is about 4 years now. So 2022, 2023. In this dream, I saw a being that was coming from above. This being, it was like almost like a mockery of what one would call Jesus. This being was mocking Jesus. The same way in the movie Constantine, they had Satan to mock Jesus, I think, by having Satan come from above. But really, I think that was like them whistleblowing without really telling you that that's what it was, that dark energy comes from above. But in my dream, this being came from above. This being was dressed like Jesus. It was dressed like Jesus of Nazareth. So if you've ever seen like the depictions of how Jesus of Nazareth is dressed with like the robe, and he has like the rope with the sandals, the chacletas and stuff, and the long woolly hair, okay? So this being was coming from, I'm looking at this being coming from the sky in my neighborhood. Like I'm in my house in my neighborhood, and this being is coming down from the sky, and it's like fake angels like singing, like ha ha ha, like singing for this being. But I knew that it was a joke because I'm looking at it. The robe that this being was wearing was dirty. It was like a off-white, dirty beige. The bottoms of the robe was just full of dirt, as if this being was like walking through like the forest for days and days and days and days. But I knew that this was not a celestial being. I could feel that in the dream. I could feel like, okay, I see this being coming from the sky, but one, it's dirty. It is not of the light. I felt very like off-putting by seeing it. And then I started laughing like this got to be a joke. Like in the dream, I'm laughing in the dream like there's no way that this is real. Like even if this was like a Jesus or a celestial being, one, Jesus being would not be dressed like this. They would be more clean, more, and I would feel bliss because I've had dreams where I've seen angels before, and I felt blissful. I was happy. I woke up from the dream feeling literally light as a feather, right? So I say all that to say too, keep in mind the way that you feel after you wake up from a dream or in the dream tells a lot about what's happening around you. Okay. So this being was coming from the sky. This being was dirty. Their robe was off white. They were dressed as Jesus, almost like mocking that energy. And it landed on the roof of a house that was nearby. So I'm watching it, and people are like bowing down to it, praising it, like, oh, Jesus is here, Jesus is here. And I'm looking at everybody like it landed on the roof of the house, and people are looking up and just like, oh my God, just kneeling to this being. And I'm watching the people, and I'm like, that's not Jesus, y'all. That's not Jesus. I don't know what that is, but that's not Jesus. That's not no celestial being. That is a being of darkness. Okay? So that was another instance where I saw something come from above, which is supposed to be great, right? Because heaven is supposed to be great and heaven is technically above, according to what we have been taught. Heaven is above, hell is below. What I'm saying is, I believe, and this is my own belief. Do not take my belief as yours. This is just a perspective. My belief is that it is in the reverse. Okay? Beings of celestial beings really can come from the earth, inner earth, under the earth, and whatever is up in the sky is not it's not a being of light, y'all. It is not a being of light. It is not a celestial being, is what I'll say. That being that came from the heavens that people were worshiping, I was looking at everybody like they were crazy because I'm like, this being is clearly dirty. There was nothing, because remember, they say in the Bible, they say cleanliness is next to godliness. So when someone is filthy and dirty and is okay with walking around like that, they smell foul, that is a sign of a darker, lower vibrational energy on that person, attached to that person. Because darker, lower vibrational energies love filth and gook and like smelly things, like the person that has poor hygiene. When you walk into their home, it's disgusting, it's filthy. That is a sign of low vibrational energy. Okay? And if it's anybody on this live, I'm not trying to offend you, but I'm just saying there's cleansing that needs to happen. It is the same thing in the spiritual world. Why would a being come from above be that dirty and that vile and that just nasty looking, right? The hair was all matted, robe was dingy, but according to him, he's like, "Oh, I am here. It is me. I am Jesus." But it was a fake Jesus, y'all. It was a fake Jesus that came from the heavens and landed on that roof in the dream. And I remember just looking at everybody and just looking at them like, y'all are dumb as hell. I can't believe y'all falling for this. So I woke myself up from the dream. And I think this is my first time publicly talking about it. I do write all of my dreams down. Like I have a dream journal where I write down my recordings. But I was being guided today to talk about this publicly, to say that do not believe everything you're told. Don't even believe me. Okay? I'm not requiring anyone to believe me. I'm just saying to have an open mind and research. Do your own research. Okay? If you are an adult, and I mean, I'm not talking about 18 to 21. I'm talking about a fully grown adult, 30 and up, I'll say. I'm not even going to say 25, because in your 20s, your brain is still developing. You're still trying to figure out your sense of self. You don't really know yourself just yet. But if you are 30 and up, and you still believe in what you were taught, what you were told, without vetting it for yourself, you are doing yourself a disservice. Okay? No one is going to come and save you. Not a Jesus, not a Buddha, not a Allah, not a nobody. No one is going to come and save you. No one is going to come and save your soul. You have that power within. Now, am I saying that, the creator of all isn't there to assist you and to make sure that your soul stays intact? Yes. But when you're taught in Christianity, what did God give you? The God of the Bible. The God of the Bible gave you the right to choose. So you have the right to choose whatever it is that you want. You have free will, right? That is, I would say, the creator of all's grace, giving you the right to choose and to have free will. Otherwise, we would be like the animals. You know what I'm saying? Animals don't necessarily have the wherewithal and the mental capacity to choose or to have free will. We do as humans. That is the gift that we were given, is the right to choose whatever it is that you want. So keep in mind, if you are fooled and you are led astray, when you become of age, and I'm talking 30 and up, when you become of age, if you still continue to allow yourself to be fooled, that is on you. That is 100% your fault. No one else. No one is responsible for your soul but you. You choose to sign your soul away. You choose to do things that are not of integrity. You choose to harm people and harm yourself. That is your choice. to do that. There's no one that is going to save you but yourself. Okay? And technically, the gods are not allowed to intervene in your life because you have the right to choose, which means you can call them in to guide your life, but they cannot just intervene on your behalf. You have to give them permission to intervene on your behalf. Okay? So that's what I wanted to say is, I'm leaving you with that question. What if the majority of the things that you were taught to you in reverse? I don't want to say that it was all a lie, but I will say that you need to vet things out for yourself, do your own research, and don't believe everything you were taught, especially when it comes to something as important as your own inner soul. No one has the soul that you have. You have that. So it is your responsibility to guide it correctly so that you don't fall victim to lies, deception, false prophets, false narratives, and things like that. Okay? Don't follow anyone. Don't believe what everyone says. Believe your own inner self. Go within. That's why it's very important to sharpen your intuition to really get to know yourself. So I'm talking to my 30 and up crowd because at 30, you kind of know yourself. Your 40s is when it really, is supposed to solidify for you. But get to know yourself, get to know your soul, and don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you say. Read as much as possible. You will be surprised what is in books, okay? A lot of truths are in books because people don't want to read. People's attention span are literally 15 seconds, and anything over 15 seconds, they kind of check out, okay? When I started off this live, I had about, I think, 20 people that came in. Now it's down to one. That is to show you how people's attention span is not that great anymore. But if you can, take time to read. Read books. I would recommend, well, I don't want to recommend anything because I don't want to influence anyone, but do your own research. Read, read, read. And remember, don't believe everything you were taught. Okay? Jesus Christ, God. Yes, I know that there are star and horoscopes, but I don't believe in the hype. Selling yourself for you to check will get you less. No one is selling their soul. If you're speaking to me, I don't necessarily think you are, Miss Hunter. I don't know what would make you come to the conclusion that I am selling a soul for YouTube. I don't. I'm on YouTube, like most other people, like you. Are you selling your soul because you're commenting on my live stream? So I don't really understand what you mean by that. But what I'm saying is that, do your own research. Um, watch the movie Constantine. Okay? Watch the movie Constantine. Oh gosh. Give at least one book recommendation. I like a good read. Uh, I don't know, y'all. Because I mean, you see the Jesus thumpers, they get a little crazy, and I don't. Okay, I'll say this. If you are someone that is not sensitive and you're not easily triggered by darkness, one of the books that I would recommend you read, actually, let me see, do I have it here? Hold on. It's a few. One of them is called Transformation of America. Um, Warning, it's a hard read. So if you're sensitive to like things that have to do with like, if you're sensitive to dark things, do not read this book. But if you want a good read that is going to be an eye opener, I would read Transformation of America. And transformation is called TRANCE. Transformation of America. That's one. There's another one. I forget the name of it. What's the name of that book where it talks about Jesus and it's showing Jesus depicted in like it's like an orange and black cover. The illustration is like of a little doll, but it is a story about Jesus and like ritualistic rites. What's the name of that book? Hold on, let me see if ChatGPT can tell me because I can't think of it off bat right now. But it's another good book too. No. Mm-mm. It's a story about Jesus, but it's called, I think it's called The Story of Jesus, the Essene, Essene, The Story of Jesus, Jesus the Essene. And my books are all the way in the basement. I don't feel like going all the way down there right now. I'll go down there a little bit later and I will post it in my community section. So if you want to know, because I can't find it, it's not on here. And I know Google's not going to show it to me because it's an eye opener. But start with Transformation of America. You can start there. And like I said, the other book, I forget. I can't think of the name right now. Oh my God. I think it's called The Story of Jesus, but it talks about the Essene. I will try to find it and I will post the picture of it in my community. So stay tuned, watch my community wall. I will post it at some point today. I'll go downstairs in the basement and find it. Um, but yeah, I would definitely start there, y'all. Okay. But yeah, give it your God made us from the dirt, so being dirty means you are Jesus. Yeah, no, Purple Playbook. No, no. I get what you're saying. Like, I get the, okay, you were made from the dirt reference, but no, no. Cleanliness is next to godliness. And the reason why I'll say that is because in the dream, remember, you got to pay attention to how you feel when you're in these dreams. I felt no happiness. I don't want to say I was afraid, but I was very cautious of the energy. If Jesus is supposed to be welcoming, why didn't I feel that in the dream? What I felt in this dream was a darker being that was cosplaying as Jesus. And first of all, Jesus is not even the real name. We'll start there. Okay? We'll start there. Jesus is not even the real name. Um, but if it was in fact Christ, I would feel that energy of welcoming, of love, of light, of purity. I didn't feel that. I looked at that being like, one, you're lying. You're not Christ. Two, why are you so dirty? Why do you smell? Okay. And one could say, oh, it's because Jesus died and was rose again on the third day. No, y'all, no, no. Okay, no. Do I love nature? Yes. Do I respect nature and the dirt and the soil and all that? Yes. But that being that I saw in my dream was not that. It was not Christ-like energy. I did not feel like it was Christ-like energy. I have had encounters with angelic beings before, and that was 100% the opposite of what I felt. This being was a being that was cosplaying. Okay? This was a being that was almost almost like making fun of the energy. What is interesting is that when I asked the being for the name, because I did ask this being, like, what is your name? Because I'm like, this is not Christ. What's the name? The name was Elohim. He was like, you can call, and he didn't say my name is. He just said, you can call me Elohim. But he was saying it like very obnoxious, like, you can call me Elohim. And I'm like, what? Okay. So, another book. No, you know what? I'm not even gonna say that publicly on YouTube because there's too many. There's some people on YouTube that are a bit weird and they're not mature enough to take in information without letting that information take over their lives. You know what I'm saying? So the book that I referenced, Transformation of America, when you read that book, it is to open your eyes to the darkness that is present in the world, you know? The same way that there is great things in the world, there's darkness. And in order for you to defeat the darkness, in order for you to defeat demons, you have to learn everything you can about them so that you can recognize them when you see them. Okay? And vice versa. In order to know who the creator of all is, what these celestial beings are, what the angels of light are, you need to study everything you can about them so that you can recognize them when you see them, so that you can recognize, you know, chosen ones, and I use that loosely because I don't want to be exclusive, but there are people on earth that are chosen to do and carry out certain things, whether it's of good or of bad, whether it is of the darkness or of the light. Okay, because remember, there's duality in everything. Okay, remember that. It's not just, if you're too far left, you're gonna have a hard swing far to the right. Okay, so um yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Let me see if there's any other questions. Anybody else have any other questions? We are all just flesh and bones, and you love Jesus, so therefore you loved her. Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, you guys. Definitely watch Constantine, and you'll see what I'm referencing. Um, and like I said, that dream was quite interesting. You know, heaven is not what you think it is. Okay. Heaven isn't what you think it is. All right. All right, y'all. Peace. Bye.